So I'm talking about the introduction to lifecycle services. So the lifecycle services, like I said before, is a collaboration portal, right? So the collaboration portal, this is where you get most of your communication from, right? So if Microsoft wants to say, oh, we have an update, so we're currently on dot 38. So once we have an update for 39, or maybe there was an issue with let's say there's a new feature that Microsoft wants to release. So on this portal, you're going to get all of those information, right? Like every time you'll be seeing those applications, all those stuff being updated. So we have different parts, different different aspect of LCS, right? We have different aspect of LCS. We're going to see all of those things. For now, I'm just going through the slide, just explaining to us, but I just want to give us a high level of what it actually means. So the lifecycle service is everybody apart from most functional consultants, every other person on the technical side, on Microsoft side, they collaborate here. The developer, they collaborate here because this is where you get to see stuff like Microsoft develop something. You can come here and test that stuff, right? You can see it and download it into maybe your system and test it out. If Microsoft has an update, they would set that communication here. You will see the updates. If you deploy it, if you're updating your own application and there's error, you can come here and see the issue with it. You can get the log. You can download the log and review the logs and all of those things. So this portal is absolutely very, very, very important, especially for the technical guys. Is extremely important. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. So what we can carry out different operations on this portal that I just talked about right now. So some of those operations we can carry out is to do something like apply software, right? So um, as a developer, once you develop something for your Visual Studio and it's working fine in the development environment, you push it all to LCS. Once you take it to LCS, this is where you now start to deploy that code that you already developed inside your test environment. Okay, if it works fine, you're going to see that it succeeds, and then you test it in your test environment. And from this LCS again, you can also push it to production environment. Okay, now also on LCS, you can also enable access. To enable access actually means that you determine the number or the range of IP address that can access the application, right? Using the remote desktop or that can access your databases as well. If you don't, from from this place, you can create an alert list, right? A set of cider range, a cider block of IP address that can access the application. If any IP address falls out of that range, they will not be able to RDP into the application. They won't be able to have database access, and that's in a way secures the application. Okay, so on LCS, you can also restart the application. You can move database. You can carry out database operation. You can put the environment in maintenance mode. You can upgrade your code, right? You can upgrade your own code. And you can also apply Microsoft updates. You can deallocate the VMs, right? And you can start and stop and delete the environments you that you have deployed. Okay. We're also going to see all of these as well. So we have deployment options, right? So the deployment options, we have basically two deployment options, right? We have the cloud and we have on-premises. Okay. So when we talk about cloud, we already know that we're talking about Microsoft Azure. So you can deploy the application on Microsoft Azure, whether it is the production environment, UAT, or customer managed environment. Those are on the cloud. But some other customers, they might not want to use the cloud application. They want to deploy the application on their home premises. They have their own data center. They have all the laptops. They have their infrastructure, so they can decide to get a license for an on-premises deployment. So we have two type of deployment options. We have the cloud deployment options, and then we have the on-premises deployment option. Okay, so just to give more context into that, right? So for the for the cloud deployment option, so Microsoft manages the Microsoft manages the application, right? Because the application is deployed in their own data center. Why for the on-premises is the customer or the partner that they're working with that manages their the infrastructure for them, because they are their laptops, everything, their data center is with them, so they manage everything that has to do with the application. So the customer is responsible for the application itself on premises, right? So so basically that's just the major thing about it. The customer can configure the application the way they want. They can configure the application, although we have documentation for that, for what they have to do. But they have the thing is that they have total control. They have a large control over the application, right? They have a large control over the application. So I'll give you a scenario. Let's say, for instance, there are some things you cannot, since you don't have access to the VMs for tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, and production environments, you have to open a subscription for Microsoft to do some things for you. But for on-premises, you don't need to open a ticket for Microsoft to do those things. You just have, maybe you have your developer, maybe you have your technical guys. They can do those things since they have the application deployed in their own environments. Okay. So some apart from that, most other things are kind of similar, but the most differences is just what I just explained right now. Okay. Um. So we move over to a demo. So we just go through some demo. We see the demo. We look at the user interface and how to navigate the application, how to do favorites, how to create save views, workspace personalization. We do a little bit of user system administration, user management, and role assignment. We'll also look at database and Visual Studio. Um, we'll also look at lifecycle operations and management. Okay, so I'll just go through the cloud application deployments, but we'll not be able to deploy the application because it takes like 8 hours or so to deploy the application. So I'll just show you guys how it's done, and we'll also do a little bit of LCS monitoring, just see the way the monitoring aspect works. Okay, I would like to say something, right? This application is so large. So the way I explained from the beginning, you should understand that this application is a very large application. So if you it's something that you cannot, I tell you this, you cannot learn everything about this application in 10 years. So the best thing that you have to do if you're interested is to pick a particular part and then grow in that part. Once you maybe have like 50% confidence, you can now add another part to it, because I've worked with people who have 25 years experience. They are still learning about the application. So if you are interested in Dynamics 365 Financial Operations or ERP, it's something that you can build a lifelong experience with. Like it's like a career that you can keep building and building. You can't just learn it in 2 years. You can be good, you can work with companies, but you can't know everything. It's not possible to know everything about this application. Okay, because even like tomorrow you can see that there's a new thing that they've added to the application, and then you need to learn those things as well. Okay, so we'll move now to a little bit of demo. Okay, so let me try to open my. Okay, so when I was explaining, I talked about the architecture of the application, right? I talk about the architecture of the application. So I'm going to start by assessing the application itself. I already I have the link of the application. Just a second. So I'm going to look for the link of the application. So I'm going to paste this here. So I just want to show us the application, the Dynamics 365 application. So this is a tier one environment that I deployed. So I am actually going to the application interface. So it's loading. So it's showing you finance and operation Dynamics 365. Okay. So let's make this a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. Okay. So this is how the application, once you log into the application, this is how the application looks, right? So basically this is like the what we call like a landing page, like the home page, right? So this is how the application looks like. Okay, this is how the application looks like. So
Hi, Richards.
loading. Let me get here. You can you can go ahead.
There's a question in the chat.
Okay. Please, I'm not looking at the chat. So if let me check now. If you have a question, let me go check. I can't see it. Okay. Is this file available on mobile platform like iOS and Android? Well, I don't know about Android. But still, I don't know about Android, to be honest. But you can access the application using an Android application, right? But what I mean is that they have, if you go on Play Store, there's a Dynamics 365 app there. So that app gives you the access to your instance on the cloud. But it's not actually like a D365 financial operation application, but you can use it to gain access to the application on the cloud. So you are limited on the type of things you can do, right? You're limited on the type of things you can do there, but it gives you access to the application on the cloud like that, right? So about iOS, I would need to check that. I've never tried to use iOS before, but I will need to check that, and I will need to check if I don't really know because I've never even used it with iOS before. So I just use. Let me check that out first. Check that out now. 365 FO iOS. Okay. I mean, if we have anything like that, it's gonna be we're going to see that on Bing, but okay, I think we do, but I've not used it before, right? I think we have something like that. I've not used it before. Okay. If you're using iPhone or something, you can, or you're using iPad, you can check this out and see how it works, right? I use an Android. All right, so this is how the application looks. So this is what we see here. These are called workspaces, right? These are all workspaces. Okay, and now in the financial operation application, just like how normal businesses operate, we have what they call modules, right? So those modules we determine where each personnel in the application where they will work, right? So if you look at this part, these are what we call modules, right? So the modules are account payables. So anybody that's in charge of account payables will definitely be using these parts, right? So we have account receivable, we have asset management for people who are into asset management, we have audit workbench for auditors and all of that. We have budgeting, cash and bank. So we have a lot of a whole lot of modules that are responsible for large organizations. That large organizations actually use something like KPMG, Deloitte, all those kind of things. We have all of those modules. We have people who like somebody who's into payroll. This is what the person is just going to be doing. The person might not really have any business with any other part. This is what the person will be using in the application. Just payroll, right? Somebody that's into human resource, your HR people, these are what they'll be using. Somebody that's into flight management will be using this because all the data are connected together, so they know the where each person are going to, so they know how to allocate fleets to those people, right? We have fixed assets and all of those things, right? So if you are the system admin, you have the system admin role, you can be able to see all of these, right? Currently, I'm the system admin in this application, so I can see all of these. And I also can use these parts to for user management and to configure the application on how you want. You see, when I told you that you can't learn this thing in 10 years, you can't learn it completely in 10 years. I'm serious because each of all of these parts, it can take you months to even know some of all these things here. And to completely know all of these things, it takes you a whole lot of time, right? This is just one part of the application. This is just one module. We have a whole lot of modules, right? A whole lot of modules, right? But most of these modules that you're seeing here are functional. Most of these modules are functional, right? So, but the system admin I need to be technical. It's highly expedient that the system admin is a technical person because then the system admin can be able to create roles, can be able to do user management and all of those things. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of demo. Like I said in the demo, that we're going to create something like a favorite. So I'm going to go back to the application first. So currently we're looking at this application. We are assessing the data from a particular company, right? And that company is a DAT. The data that we're assessing is that a DAT company, right? So if you want to assess, let's say, when I started, I talked about having different companies in different part of the world, right? So you can, depending on how your environment is set up, right, how the application is set up, you can click on the drop down and you see the available companies that are there in the application. And you can see that this is actually holding data set for a whole large amount of companies, right? A whole large amount of companies. So all these ones are this one's the consulting in US, retail, and all of those things. So so because this is like a demo environment, these are not actually real data sets. These are just demo data, right? So one of the demo data that has like most of the data sets is USMF. So we normally use the USMF to for trainings to learn and all of those things. So the USMS is not going to load the data, the demo data for the USMF database and all that. Okay. So if you want to switch between companies, so most time a user might be created to have access to just one company, right? Because they don't want the user to have access to any other data. They just want that person to be able to see, let's say, to see the data set for just US companies alone, to have access to just US data. Okay. Okay. So this is for notification. Once you have any notification, it's going to pop up here. So this is for your configuration, like for your settings. You have user option, you have task recorder, you have the mobile app, you have personalizations, and this is for your app and support. And this is for the person that currently logged in. You can see that I am the admin and I'm currently logged in here. Okay. Um. So now I want to explain what the workspace is. The workspace. So all you can see, all of these are workspace, right? Now, a workspace is like a shortcut, right? It's a shortcut that contains, let's say, for instance, that contains like most of the things that you need to do, that you need for carry out your business operations, carry out your work daily, your daily job, right? Let's say you are an account receivable person, right? Instead of coming here, or let's say you're HR guy, you're the HR person in this company, and you carry out the HR operations. So instead of coming here and be looking for HR, to click down to be looking for where's HR, okay, HR, then you click into HR, and then you click into people, and then you start seeing, right? So that is what this workspace does for you. So you can just easily, once you have anyone for HR, you can just, once you log into the application, you can just click HR and straight up you go over to HR, right? So we're just going to see how to create something like that. Let's say we are the HR, we work in HR and we want to create an HR workspace, right? So what we can do is to just right click on any part of the application, and then we go to personalized body group, right? And we can see personalize this page. Let me take this up. Sorry, can do that again. Close this. So I'm going to add a page.